Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling a real giant of the corporate world, Walmart.
Yeah, it's hard to overstate the scale, isn't it? We're
Yeah.
talking, over $572 billion in revenue back in 2021.
Exactly, and they're the biggest employer on the planet, over 2 million people. Plus, more than 10,500 stores. It's just massive.
A sort of behemoth. And you'd think, right, that something this big must have been built by, Wall Street types or old money families.
But that's the fascinating thing we found in our research. Our mission today is really to explore how this whole empire was built by Sam Walton.
Right. Someone who described himself as a poor farmer. And get this, early on, someone actually told him he had zero future in retail. Point blank.
Wow, that's the kind of thing that usually stops you in your tracks. But for Walton, seems like it just added fuel to the fire.
He really does seem that way. Even when he was just starting out, running a little franchise Ben Franklin store, he was already bending the rules.
How so? What was he doing?
Well, he'd read their official handbook, how to run the store, but then he'd just improvise. Weird stuff like cranking up an ice cream machine out front.
An ice cream machine?
Yeah, or selling popcorn on the sidewalk. Just anything, really, to grab attention and pull people in. That sort of entrepreneurial hustle was just baked in from day one.
And that hunger, it sounds like it came from a pretty tough upbringing.
Definitely. To really get Walton, you need to look at his early life. Born 1918, Kingfisher, Oklahoma. His dad was a farmer, but it wasn't paying the bills.
So they moved around a lot.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Just searching for a way to make ends meet until they landed in Columbia, Missouri.
And that's where he really learned about hard work, I gather.
Oh, yeah. The classic stories, milking cows before dawn, delivering that milk after football practice. He saw his parents scraping by, too.
His dad was into deals, and his mom had a milk business.
That's right. His father was always wheeling and dealing small stuff, and his mother actually built up a pretty decent little milk business herself. So he saw resourcefulness firsthand.
But it wasn't exactly a happy home life, was it?
No, not at all. Sam himself said his parents were, and this is a quote, the two most quarrelsome people to ever live together. Intense doesn't quite cover it.
So he kind of escaped into activities.
Exactly. Sports, Boy Scouts, any leadership role he could find. It was his refuge. This need to achieve, to get external validation, it really became part of who he was.
Okay, so fast forward. He graduates college, University of Missouri, in 1940, gets his first proper retail job.
Yep, JCPenney. Sales trainee in Des Moines, Iowa. Starting pay. $75 a week. Not bad for the time, but this is where that infamous warning comes in.
The no future in retail comment. Why, if he was such a natural people person?
It boiled down to admin. The sources are pretty clear he was apparently terrible at the paperwork side of things. Bookkeeping was a disaster.
Really? Mr. Efficiency later on.
Kind of ironic, isn't it? But back then, he hated making customers wait while he, as he put it, fussed with paperwork. His records were a mess.
So his boss literally threatened to fire him.
Threatened to fire him and flat out told him he wasn't cut out for retail. Ouch.
What saved him then?
Pure salesmanship. His natural ability to connect with customers earned him an extra $25 a month in commission. That talent was undeniable.
But the JCPenney way, very structured, centralized, probably didn't suit him.
Definitely seems like it rubbed him the wrong way. The real entrepreneurial story kicks off after the war. He served as a captain in military intelligence during WWI.
Right. 1945, he's married Helen, comes back and decides, okay, I'm doing this my way.
Precisely. He gets a $20,000 loan from his father-in-law, adds $5,000 of his own savings, and buys a Ben Franklin franchise store in Newport, Arkansas.
But he jumped in a bit blind, didn't he? And made some rookie mistakes.
Oh, big time. He was so eager to get going. First off, the store he bought was already losing money. Second, he paid way too much for it.
The lease, that was the killer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The lease agreement had him paying 5% of sales as rent. According to Walton's own later research, that was basically the highest rate anyone was paying for that kind of store lease in the whole area.
So just to put that in perspective for you listening, if your rivals are paying maybe 2-3% rent, that extra 2% has to come from somewhere.
Right out of your profits. Or your ability to lower prices. He started out behind the 8 ball, operationally speaking. He had to innovate just to cover that rent.
And that pressure, it seems, is where the core Walmart idea started to form.
Exactly. The franchise rules said he had to buy from Ben Franklin suppliers. But Sam, being Sam, he dug into the contract details.
And found a loophole.
Found a clause that let him buy merchandise from other sources if he could get better deals. Game changer.
And then he just went for it on pricing. Slashed everything.
Pretty much. Not just a little bit lower, but dramatically lower. Sometimes selling stuff almost at cost. This was radical for a small-town variety store back then.
This is that volume over margin idea taking shape.
Absolutely. See, the typical five and dime store relied on making a decent profit, a high margin, on each item sold because they didn't have massive customer traffic.
Right, slow turnover.
Walton flipped it. He bet that if he dropped prices super low, he'd get so many more customers buying so much more stuff.
That the total dollar profit would actually be higher, even if the profit per item was tiny.
You got it. Huge gamble. If the volume didn't show up, he'd crash and burn fast.
But it worked.
Like gangbusters. His brother Bud came on board. Sales shot up over 45% in the first year alone, hit $105,000. He paid back that big loan in just 3 years.
Became the top variety store guy in the whole region. Amazing turnaround.
Total success story, right? But here comes the gut punch, the biggest mistake of his early career.
The lease again.
That lease. Remember how he got terrible terms? Well, the other thing he missed. No renewal clause.
Oh no. So when the 5 years were up in 1950,
the landlord saw this incredibly profitable store Walton had built from nothing and just booted him out. Gave the store to his own son. Walton was literally kicked out of the business he created.
devastating. He must have been crushed.
He called it the lowest point of his life. You can feel it in his words. I had built the best variety store in the whole region, and now I was being kicked out of town. That failure taught him a brutal lesson about control.
A lesson he clearly never forgot, because his next move was different. He relocates, Bentonville, Arkansas, opens Walton's Five and Dime, summer of 1950.
And the very first thing he does, demands a 99-year lease.
99 years. Talk about learning from mistakes. He was making sure nobody could ever pull that rug out from under him again. Control became paramount.
Totally hardwired into his thinking now. But it wasn't just about the lease. He starts tweaking the store itself, adopting this hot new trend in 1950s retail.
Self-service. Seems obvious to us today.
Yeah, but back then, many variety stores still had clerks behind counters getting stuff for you. Moving to self-service was a big shift.
You mean redesigning the whole layout, putting everything out on shelves for people to grab themselves?
Exactly. And the impact was immediate. Fewer clerks needed, so lower labor costs, which meant...
he could cut prices even more.
Right. And the results were stunning. That shift tripled his income in under a year. By the late 50s, he's got 15 successful variety stores, all running on that low-price, high-volume model. But he wasn't done thinking bigger.
This leads us to 1962, the real birth of Walmart as we know it.
This is the pivot. His big idea now wasn't just optimizing dime stores, it was building huge discount stores. Stores that discounted everything. And here's the kicker, putting them in small towns.
That was the risky part, wasn't it? Because existing discount stores were mostly in cities, smaller, maybe only discounting certain items.
Precisely. He was betting that people in rural areas were sick of driving for hours to the city just to save some money. Give them city prices locally.
So he takes this grand vision to his franchise partners, Ben Franklin, hoping for their backing.
He needed their wholesale buying power to make the numbers work. But they shot him down. Flat out refused.
Why? Too risky.
Their big issue was the margin. Sam's plan needed them to cut their standard wholesale profit margin in half. They just couldn't wrap their heads around the massive volume he was predicting would make up for it.
So, rejected again by the establishment, what does he do?
What Sam Walton does best. He doubles down, mortgages his house, borrows every penny he can, and just builds it himself. The first Walmart opens in Rogers, Arkansas, 1962.
Betting the farm, literally, his family's whole financial security on this small-town discount store idea.
And the customers proved him right. They loved it. Came from miles around. Finally, discount prices without the long drive, it just took off.
And that core idea value means saving the customer money became like a religion for the company.
Totally, it drove everything.
Yeah.
Not just pricing, but every tiny operational detail.
Like what kind of things?
Well, for example, he ditched the standard, nicer-looking wooden shelves most stores used. Switched to cheaper, basic metal shelving. Ugly? Maybe, but durable and saved money.
Every penny saved could go towards lower prices, driving more volume.
Exactly. And he thought about customer convenience, too. Keeping stores open way longer hours than the local competition. That was unusual back then.
Plus, the big free parking lots seemed small, but it removed a barrier.
All part of the value proposition. But the real engine for massive growth, the thing that let them scale nationally, came later, in the late 70s, revolutionizing the supply chain.
This is where it gets really disruptive, right? Two main things.
Two huge things. First, he decided to cut out the middleman entirely. Started buying directly from manufacturers, bypassing the traditional wholesalers.
That must cause chaos in the industry. Wholesalers wouldn't have liked that one bit.
Oh, it created enormous friction. But by squeezing out that wholesaler margin, he could lower his costs even further, maintaining that price edge. It was ruthless, but effective.
And the second part was the logistics, the warehouses.
Yes, building this incredibly efficient network of massive distribution centers, strategically placed so that stores were always nearby.
Allowing for super fast restocking, like one-day delivery to the stores.
Often, yes. Which meant stores could carry less inventory, keep stock fresh, react quickly, and it cut down on advertising needs too, because the system was so smooth. This logistics network became their secret weapon.
He also figured out he needed his employees on board for this relentless efficiency drive.
Crucial point, he started calling them associates, making them partners in a sense, offering cash bonuses, stock options. If the company did well through high volume and low costs, they shared in the success.
And financially, this whole system just exploded, didn't it?
The numbers are wild. They went public in 1970, raised $5 million, but importantly, the Walton family kept control, about 61%.
Then the expansion just went into overdrive.
Totally. 276 stores by 1980. Then they started opening roughly 100 new stores every year. Just relentless growth.
And for anyone who got in early on the stock.
Incredible returns. There's data showing someone putting in $650 in 1970. By 1987, that investment was worth over $700,000. Generational wealth created incredibly fast.
And he kept tinkering. Sam's Club in '83.
Yep, Sam's wholesale clubs, tapping into the small business market, bulk buyers. Same core principle though. Value through volume and efficiency.
So when Sam Walton passed away in 1992, age 74, the company was doing over $104 billion a year in revenue. The small-town discount strategy had gone global.
An unbelievable legacy. But of course, you can't talk about Walmart without addressing the criticism.
Right. The impact on small towns, on mom-and-pop stores, it's a huge part of the story.
Absolutely. The charge is that Walmart moves in, undercuts everyone with its massive scale and pricing power, and basically drives local independent retailers out of business.
And that definitely happened in many places. Walton knew about this criticism, didn't he?
Oh, he was well aware. His defense was pure free market logic. He argued those small stores were, in his words, destined to disappear anyway. Why?
Because the customer ultimately decides.
Exactly. His view was that retail is driven by the customers who are free to choose where to shop. If they choose Walmart for lower prices, that's their prerogative.
He saw himself basically as just giving customers what they clearly wanted, maximum value for their money. A controversial take, for sure, but consistent with his focus.
It's a story of incredible focus, breaking rules, taking huge risks. We've talked a lot about his innovations, but let's circle back to that very first massive mistake.
The lease in Newport, Arkansas, forgetting that renewal clause.
The failure, getting kicked out in 1950, it forced him to completely rethink everything. Move towns, change his approach to control.
So here's the thought we want to leave you with. We know Sam Walton succeeded despite that early failure. But could it be that the failure itself was actually the key driver of Walmart's ultimate massive success?
Did being forced out, losing control, directly lead to his later obsession with absolute control, the 99-year lease, the vertically integrated supply chain, the very things that built the empire? Was the setback the catalyst for the whole thing? Something to think about.